All across the United States, each state has what's called an immunization information system. Immunization information systems, or IIS, are confidential, population-based, computerized databases that record all immunization doses administered by participating providers to persons residing within a given geopolitical area. In the United States, every vaccination registry is a bit different, which can become daunting and confusing. Enter PubHub. PubHub solves this issue by giving its providers the ability to connect and communicate to the state registry with one connection and one data format. For example, if a patient has received the COVID-19 vaccine, PubHub allows the provider to see if the patient has already received the vaccine, keeping everything safe and organized for everyone.
Shoulders, knees, and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. And eyes and cheeks and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Affordable self-care from professional massage therapists and estheticians. It's what we do. Massage Envy, where better begins.
2 jumbo ice caramel drizzle peppermint mochaccino. Extra caramel.
That's us.
I'd love to join you guys at the beach house for a few days, but between my job and the kids, it's just not that easy. Not to mention, how am I squeezing into a bikini after this winter?
Keeping off extra pounds while balancing a family and a career can be tough. And 500-calorie coffees won't get you there either. Weight Loss Direct provides a 24/7 support and one-on-one coaching to keep you on track and guarantee you success and health. Start your journey at weightlossdirect.com.
Discover the heart of Pittsburgh at Mount Washington Shop and Save. At Mount Washington Shop and Save, we're more than just a grocery store. We're your neighborhood destination. From the freshest local produce to gourmet delights, we've got it all under one roof. Experience convenience, quality, and savings, all in the heart of Mount Washington. Mount Washington Shop and Save, where Pittsburgh shops with a view. Shop smart, shop local, shop Mount Washington Shop and Save.
Are you ready to take your game to the next level? Hey, I'm Tyler Kennedy, 2009 Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup champion here, and trust me, I know what it's like to play to the max. That's why I recommend the patented heads-up sports training system, improving reaction time and your spatial awareness with this dynamic training system all at your fingertips. Train smarter with endless applications for any position. It's that simple. HeadsUpSTS.com. Play with your head up.
Two jumbo ice caramel drizzle peppermint mochaccino. Extra caramel.
That's us.
I'd love to join you guys at the beach house for a few days, but between my job and the kids, it's just not that easy. Not to mention, how am I squeezing into a bikini after this winter?
Keeping off extra pounds while balancing a family and a career can be tough. And 500-calorie coffees won't get you there either. Weight Loss Direct provides a 24/7 support and one-on-one coaching to keep you on track and guarantee you success and health. Start your journey at weightlossdirect.com.
Discover the heart of Pittsburgh at Mount Washington Shop and Save. At Mount Washington Shop and Save, we're more than just a grocery store. We're your neighborhood destination. From the freshest local produce to gourmet delights, we've got it all under one roof. Experience convenience, quality, and savings, all in the heart of Mount Washington. Mount Washington Shop and Save, where Pittsburgh shops with a view. Shop smart, shop local, shop Mount Washington Shop and Save.
Are you ready to take your game to the next level? Hey, I'm Tyler Kennedy, 2009 Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup champion here, and trust me, I know what it's like to play to the max. That's why I recommend the patented Heads Up sports training system, improving reaction time and your spatial awareness with this dynamic training system all at your fingertips. Train smarter with endless applications for any position. It's that simple. HeadsUpSTS.com. Play with your head up.
2 jumbo ice.
As they say in PIHL hockey, let's do that PIHL hockey. Hello, good evening, and welcome. I am Matt Popchock alongside special guest Brian Mitchell for PIHL Hockey Night Live on the PIHL channel, simulcast on Peters Hockey TV, part of 10-Band TV, and it's all presented by Opeka Auto Repair in McMurray. Tonight, game 1 of 2 in a Week 11 Pennsylvania Interscholastic Hockey League doubleheader. A clash of the South Hills Titans as the red-hot Peters Township Indians hit the road to take on the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. And Brian Mitchell, the word parity is one that gets thrown around loosely often when talking about the top flight in the PIHL Class AAA, which is where the two teams play that we're going to be looking at in game number 1. But this year, as Peters Township just demonstrated in its last game against its own will, more than ever, the word parity rings true. I mean, literally, anybody can beat anybody on a given night, and that includes Mount Lebanon trying to break a short losing streak against Meetings with the Indians.
You said it best, but I'm going to ask another question to you, Mr. Matt Popchock. Who are the top 4 teams? We can sit here and talk about the top 4 teams all day. It could be anybody right now. It is so close in the AAA division that one game is really going to make a difference. And we're talking in December and November games that could make the difference between a team finishing in the top 4 and in the top 8. It's wild. You don't know who's going to get that home game this year. So, and home ice is going to be important whenever it comes down to it because, frankly, who wants to go to travel at this point? You know, you get into that spring game and you want to get that one home game and then get the RMU and just roll your way through it.
And Peters Township did defeat Mount Lebanon in last year's playoff opener en route to back-to-back Penguins Cups. And in the more recent meeting between the two teams on Halloween night at Princegate, Peters Township was again victorious by a final score of 6-2, led by a hat trick from their captain, Camden Martin, as of now the leading scorer in PIHL Class 3A, number 91 in red, warming up off to our right. Martin coming in with a team-leading 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points. Tied for first in assists in AAA, ranking second in goals, and a very dangerous player on special teams as well. And for the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils, who come in just 4 points back of the Peters Township Indians, to Brian Mitchell's point, Peters Township coming in with 13 points, Mount Lebanon coming in with 9. Mount Lebanon coming in off a long layoff after a really tough loss to arch rival Bethel Park here in this barn. A game in which they squandered the lead with 1 second remaining in regulation and lost with 45 seconds remaining in the sudden victory period. 2-1 the final score. Despite that, Xavier Bias, their very talented freshman from Penn's Elite and the Shaha Panthers, wearing number 68 in yellow and warming up off to our right, he remains hot. He's tied for third in goals in Class AAA with 7 of those. His 10 points are the second most points on the Mount Lebanon varsity squad under third-year head coach Jeremy Church. Church, of course, opposed by the most tenured coach in the classification at this point, 18th year man Rick Tingle of Peters Township. Mount Lebanon, oh, they're an improved bunch, 4-4-1. As I said, 9 points. Peters 6-3-0-1, coming off that shootout loss against a Cathedral Prep team that was below the playoff line. Peters Township, as I said, coming in with 13 points. Peters Township 5th of the 11 teams in AAA. Mount Lebanon coming in the number 7 spot. The X factor for Mount Lebanon offensively has been their captain, senior Sawyer Klasnick, number 19. 5 goals, 11 points. Klasnick, a National Merit Scholar as well, as he warms up in those bright yellow jerseys off to our right. Who's the X factor offensively for Peters Township? Well, on a given night, when he is in the lineup, Troy Jones could make a big difference. As I look to my left to see if Jones is in fact dressed for Peters Township this evening. The Indians, dating back to last season, including the postseason, have won 10 of the last 12 games in which Jones has dressed. He had 5 points in the Miners' Cup victory on December 5th against Cannon McMillan at Princecap Arena, but he did not dress for that loss to Cathedral Prep. And we have a very interesting goaltending matchup as well as the teams gather in their pregame huddle. Brian Mitchell, I know you've seen Kyle Thomas a time or two. We're about to get a look at Kyle Thomas, presumably, and Quinn Lynham. And if it's not Thomas for Peters Township, behind him there's Ethan Williams, who's a very capable backup.
Absolutely. It looks like it's going to be Thomas in net tonight. And how often do you get to talk about a 4-year starter for a Rick Tingle-led team? I've been thinking about talking about Kyle Thomas for years now, especially back to a freshman year. We're talking about a kid who's like, oh, wait, you're starting a freshman in net? That drove everybody crazy for a couple years. Then all of a sudden now into his senior year, and it happens every year. You talk about these players all the way. I've been talking to them for a long time, and we're going to get the anthem here, so I'm going to stop my my train of thought while we get there, because you got to have a little bit of respect in a game of hockey, right, Mr. Popchock?
Right you are, Brian Mitchell. Austin McLean on public address tonight. And now, as you said, we pause to honor America. Thank you, Jeff Jimerson. Thank you, Austin McLean. And thank you for tuning in tonight to PIHL Hockey Night Live on the PIHL channel, part of 10-Band TV. Matt Popchock with Brian Mitchell pulling double duty tonight for Peters Township at Mount Lebanon in Class AAA action.
I'm excited for this one. I don't get to see too many AAA games working out on the east side of the city anymore, so I think I got to work with you on one earlier this season up at Alpha Ice Complex, but for the most part, haven't had a chance to see too many of the top class of this entire league. So, nice little treat for me to come down to Mount Lebanon, check out a rink I haven't been to in a while, and watch some good hockey this evening.
It is our triumphant return to the facility, which suffered a mechanical failure in late October, which forced the postponement of multiple PIHL varsity games. And it is great to be back here. We've got a full slate of games tonight, as I said. Later on, we've got Thomas Jefferson at South Fayette. So we've got two defending Penguins Cup champions in action in the same barn on the same night. Get your popcorn ready. And in goal for Mount Lebanon, it will be the senior Quinn Lynham, top 5 in both minutes played and total saves made, 410 and 187 respectively. And he will be opposed by Kyle Thomas, as the Blue Devils win the opening faceoff and push the puck right to left on your TV, computer, or mobile device to begin tonight's contest. Peters Township quickly takes over possession. Drew Alexander dropping it back, but it's intercepted by Xavier Bias as Captain Sawyer Klasnick of Mount Lebanon is plowed at his own blue line. The Indians force a turnover. Alexander breaking toward goal. Alexander toward goal. Had it roll off his stick at the last moment as he had Lynham leaning the wrong direction. Tie up against the far boards. Klasnick in fighting for it for Mount Lebanon. It comes free to Bias. Bias, 7 goals, 10 points as a varsity newcomer for Jeremy Church. Camden Martin, the Peters Township captain, around the boards for defenseman Austin Corbel. That's going to be cut off instead by Connor Ribstein. Ribstein coming in with 10 points on the season, had a goal and an assist the last time these teams met on Halloween night. And a chance for the Indians out in front, and Drew Alexander scores. 55 seconds in, Drew Alexander with his team-leading 8th goal of the season, tying Martin for the team lead. In fact, it's 1-0 Peters Township as the alternate captain makes it happen by picking up the trash and putting it in behind Quinn Lynham.
It was just a broken play in front. He was able to pick up a puck inside the zone, get it on net, and then Lynham, I guess, just lost it underneath him, and it ended up rolling across the line, making 1-0 Peters Township.
Peters Township, a team coming off that tough loss in Erie to Cathedral Prep, coming in definitely with a chip on its shoulder, as evidenced on that opening shift. Indians had a 5-game winning streak snapped up north on Tuesday night, but on the plus side, they have earned points in 6 consecutive games after a rocky start to their season in which they dropped 3 of their first 4, including 2 in a row at home, which is unheard of for this group in recent years under Rick Tingle. Prince Cape has always been a very tough place for opposing teams to play, and the Indians doing a much better job these days of protecting that house, and they're off to a good start on the road here tonight in Mount Lebanon's house, leading 1-0 on senior Drew Alexander's 8th goal of the season, as Lynham from his knees is forced to make a save quickly on the reaction play vis-a-vis Jeremy Poon.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough place to play. I'd have a hard time scoring goals whenever I'm looking down Bubba's Burgers up on the roof there. I mean, listen, those apps come out, and I don't want to be able to, I'm not thinking about my next shift.
And you can watch all the Peters
yeah.
Township home games at Bubba's Burgers. Thank you, Brian Mitchell, for your forward thinking. Faceoff is going to be won by Christian Tata, the Mount Lebanon senior. Up ahead it comes now to Ben Curda. Curda up now for Jackson Bell. Bell chips it deep into the Peters Township zone, where it's taken by Luca Maeda defensively. Maeda brings this puck up towards center red. Left wing pass intended for Charlie Caputo. Caputo had to reach behind him to take it. It's a delayed offside, and now the whistle will blow, and this faceoff will come outside the Blue Devils zone.
Just a little opportunity. Somebody got, lost. Caputo lost that in his skates, so it was just an accidental offside there. Up and up, and here's another turnover.
And a chance the other way for Mount Lebanon. Snapshot above the head of Kyle Thomas goes wide. A good effort there by Xavier Bias, the exciting Mount Lebanon forward. No, that was not Bias. That was 63 Patrick Tetlow, the senior, not to be confused with 68. Tetlow stays on here for Jeremy Church in a 1-0 game that favors Peters Township as Martin plays it up to himself at center ice. Martin over the blue line around him and cross-ice pass. One-timer! Charlie Caputo! Crisscross applesauce! 2-0 Peters Township. 14:21 remaining first period.
It's the way you draw it up. You bring it in off the boards. Opportunity there. The guy drove to the net. Opportunity for the 2-on-1. Got that perfect pass across and was able to make Lyman had to make perfect move to stop it and unable to do so. And it makes it 2-0 here, Peters Township.
And don't look now, but Charlie Caputo now has a goal streak. The senior quietly building his stat line with his 6th goal of the campaign. And the Indians are off to an optimal start here in enemy territory. Ribstein brings it out from behind his own blue line for Mount Lebanon, flying over the Peters Township attacking line. Side of the net, played by Thomas, hugging that far post. Puck reset to the point. It dribbles wide of goal. Going in after it is Klasnick from Mount Lebanon. Klasnick behind the net. It's sent out in front. One-timer Oak. Thomas got over just in time to get a piece of that backdoor attempt from the stick of Klasnick. Indians have it defensively. Ivanchik dropping back to Kavan Fisher. Fisher up ahead now to Brady Holleran, who gains the red line and dumps it in behind the Mount Lebanon net. Matthew Scuvart out in front. This puck chipped at and eventually lands at the stick of Matthew Williams, the Mount Lebanon sophomore defenseman, and Williams taking matters into his own hands. Williams coming back 1-on-2, snapping it wide of Thomas's glove hand, high off the glass. Brady Holleran met in his own corner by a Blue Devils forechecker. It comes around to Liam Shin. Shin, who set up that lone Mount Lebanon goal in regulation their last PIHL game, fires it off the blocker hand of Kyle Thomas. Shin with 6 points on his sophomore season as it's wristed high and wide by Griffin Krupp. of the underclassmen, giving Mount Lebanon a little momentum here on this shift as it comes up to Tata. Tata toward goal. That was blocked by Fisher. And Fisher clears a zone for Peters Township. Rick Tingle making a line change with his team ahead 2-0 on early even strength markers by Drew Alexander and Charlie Caputo. Peters Township scoring on 2 of their first 4 shots on goal tonight. Corbel from behind his own net. Up to center red for John Repepe. Repepe chips it into Mount Lebanon territory. It's taken near side by Luke Eberhardt, the senior defenseman and alternate captain, off a Peters Township stick and out of play. Faceoff will come just outside the Mount Lebanon area. And it's a clean win for Peters Township. Hudson Phillips defensively chipping it inside the Mount Lebanon blue line. Blue Devils send it back in the general direction of Kyle Thomas. Martin unable to clear his zone. Offerman toward goal. That never made it through. Hard hit in the corner on Martin, who paid a price to exhaust the area. Landon Klein trying to chip that puck up ahead. Instead, it'll come deep into Peters Township ice. Repepe almost played it into his own bench, but it stays inside the rink. And Repepe now stick check from behind by Pierce Conradi. Loose puck at center, scooped up by Alexander. Alexander, who got the scoring started here for the Indians, works this up ahead to Tracy. Ben Tracy toward goal. That hit a Mount Lebanon stick before deflecting wide, and at the far post line, it makes a save before inadvertently dislodging his own goal. Jeremy Church making a line change before this defensive zone draw. Took over the Mount Lebanon varsity squad on an interim basis on March 8th, 2021. Mount Lebanon went 6-2-1 to finish out the 2020-2021 season and made their first Penguins Cup finals in 15 years. And Church has been in charge ever since. And we've talked all year about the silver anniversary of the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Hockey League. I started covering this league in 05-06, the year that Mount Lebanon won the Pennsylvania Cup for the first time in 30 years. And talk about being blessed, being spoiled. I got to cover one of the best teams to ever come out of Western PA, that Mount Lebanon team that year, as we've got a penalty being called at center ice, and slashing is indeed the indication against Charlie Caputo.
One of those things as you were coming out in transition, those transitionary penalties. Going to give Mount Lebanon an opportunity. How are they doing this year on the power play so far, Mr. Popchock?
Caputo's had an interesting week. He was stopped in the third round of the shootout by Tanner Ball in that Cathedral Prep upset victory on Tuesday night. He has a goal here in the first period tonight, and he's in the penalty box with the Blue Devils getting the game's first power play and a chance to get right back in this thing after a tough start at home. From a bad angle bias.
5-minute major.
It's a 5-minute major penalty on Caputo. So the Mount Lebanon power play can score at will for the next 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Big moment early in this game for both teams. Peters Township coming in fourth on the PK at 86.4% out of 11 teams in Class AAA. Mount Lebanon coming in with a much improved power play, third in the classification at 23.8%, as that puck misses Thomas from a bad angle, Jacob Lehman, far corner, behind the net. Near side now to Bias. Bias through the goal mouth and wide of everything and everybody. Klasnick unable to keep it on side. Blue Devils have to tag up at center ice. Martin applying pressure as Klasnick brings it over the line. Klasnick left wing circle over the glove hand of Thomas and off the glass. Rebound comes right out to Connor Ribstein. Ribstein unable to handle. Maeda gets a clear. 3:45 to go in the major penalty against Caputo for slashing. Big opportunity for Mount Lebanon to get on the board and maybe get more here early in the first period, as the Blue Devils re-enter the Peters Township zone. Krupp from center point. That misses the net. Fisher clears it off the Raptors, and that's a break for Mount Lebanon as the faceoff will stay inside Peters Township territory. Rick Tingle on the Peters Township bench, working the dry erase board with his penalty killers. Tingle in his 18th season, assisted by Cliff Bumford, Chris Claxon, and the legendary Jim McVeigh. 274 wins in PIHL competition unofficially for Rick Tingle, including those 4 Penguins Cups and 3 Pennsylvania Cups in the PIHL's top flight. Indians get a face-off win and a clear as Griffin Krupp, the freshman, resets the Mount Lebanon power play. Outlet pass comes around the boards. That was intended for Graham Ressler, the sophomore. Fisher from his own corner for Peters Township off the glass and up ahead. Chance for Skuvart, shorthanded. Skuvart one-on-one with Eberhardt. Eberhardt wins that battle. Good work there to avert disaster by the alternate captain, and Eberhardt carries the puck now for the Blue Devils, and Eberhardt scores! Luke Eberhardt makes that donut disappear as we approach the midpoint of period 1. We've got a new hockey game. Peters 2, Lebo 1.
That was just an innocent shot from the outside of the circle that was able to beat Thomas, I think through the arm, I gotta look at a replay on that one, but I believe that was through the arm underneath the stick, so,
Eberhardt, a very smart stay-at-home defenseman, only his 2nd goal of the season, but it's a big one, and it's a power play goal.
It might have been up there for accidentally as a 5-minute major, but it looks like it was off, so.
You are correct, Brian, so for now we'll call it a conventional 5-on-4 power play goal, as Mount Lebanon does get back in the game vis-a-vis special teams. Blue Devils scoring on their 3rd shot of the game, and one that I'm sure Thomas from a Peters Township POV will want back. But in any event, the Blue Devils with some life here as first period time ticks away, and the puck is worked up ahead to Braden Wirtz. Wirtz gets it deep into the Peters Township zone as one of the Indians lost an edge of his own blue line. That was Alexander, and here comes Caputo fresh out of the penalty box, right side of Camden Martin. Martin trying to center for Alexander. Alexander this time too well covered by Conradi. Up the boards it comes right to Hudson Phillips. Phillips unable to keep. Oh, the Blue Devils might have had an odd man rush if they'd been able to control that puck, but unfortunately for their sake, Ressler could not. Lebo changing on the fly here as Palmieri, the Peters alternate captain and senior forward, gets this puck deep for the Indians. Palmieri at the left point. Yields possession to Mount Lebanon. Blue Devils carefully trying to maneuver out of their own zone as this outlet pass is picked off by Wateska in neutral ice. Blue Devils will try one more time, and this time a clean zone exit. But the pass is too heavy for Ressler, and the Indians work it up ahead to Jeremy Poon. Poon, who recently scored that elusive first goal in a Peters varsity uniform, is dispossessed in Mount Lebanon territory as the Blue Devils get it deep and put it high off the blocker hand of Thomas's outstretched arm. Wateska from the far boards gave it up to Ribstein. Ribstein colliding with one of his own men, and that might have been a break, quite frankly, for Peters Township, as Phillips did not quite have the red line, and Peters Township is guilty of icing with 6:45 remaining in the first. Face-off controlled by the Blue Devils. Tata unable to handle. Skuvart, can he catch up to this puck for Peters Township? He's going to try to center it, and he puts it off Tata's stick, and it goes wide of everything. Holleran was the player streaking down the middle trying to accept that pass, but it never had a chance. Ribstein near side over the blue line, and the Blue Devils are offside. And the puck is dropped outside the Peters Township blue line. Indians control. Maeda defensively. Right down the middle, given away to Ribstein. Ribstein for Bias. Bias shot, save made. Rebound put off the side of the net. Oh, the Blue Devils had a yawning net, but Klasnick couldn't finish. And from the side of the net, Ribstein puts it off the meshing again as Thomas was diving to his left to try to make the save. Diving to his right, I should say. Man, that was like Fleury on Lidstrom in Game 7. Giveaway to Ribstein. Ribstein on Thomas's doorstep. Thomas makes a save cleanly this time and juggles that puck for a face-off. Boy, did the Indians bargain with the hockey gods on that shift.
It's not a game of inches, it's also a game of luck. And that right there, whew, for the Peters Township, this game should be tied for all intents and purposes. But that game of inches came in a big way down along that corner as he couldn't get enough of the stick on it to keep it within those posts.
Now the Blue Devils get a bounce, and it bounces right out in front before Thomas covers on the shot by Ben Kurta from close range.
There we go again, another opportunity on there. That was at least, what, 3 there of turnovers that were wide open for Mount Lebanon with great shots on Thomas. And Thomas standing his ground, but unfortunately unable to get there.
Makes that save from distance, and that makes that save from in tight on Kurta one more time.
Don't look now. Mount Lebanon gets 2 or 3 more opportunities like that. It's not going to be one of those things where Thomas is going to have to stand on top of his head. It's going to be the part where Mount Lebanon's going to bury the next one in the queue.
Eberhardt is having himself a heck of a first period. He got that goal a few minutes ago to get Mount Lebanon back in this thing, and he generated that juicy rebound that Kurta almost capitalized on. And not for nothing, it remains a 1-goal lead for Peters Township with 5:15 to go in the first. Martin at center ice. They're calling the Eberhardt goal an even strength marker, by the way, so we'll go with that for now as this puck is deflected into the home stands just off to our right. And indeed, Eberhardt scored that goal about 20 seconds after the expiry, by my calculation, of Caputo's minor penalty that was initially put up on the scoreboard as a major penalty. So we apologize for any confusion that might have created, but in any event, it's Peters Township 2, Mount Lebanon 1, as Landon Klein has it for the Indians 1-on-3, gave it up to Repepe. Repepe putting it wide of goal as the Indians continue to maneuver this puck behind the net. It dribbles out in front to a Blue Devils defenseman as Mount Lebanon works it back to center. Patrick Tetlow, edge of the right circle, off of Thomas. And that was pretty much the same spot from which Eberhardt scored earlier in the period. Repepe crossing the blue line onside. Repepe to Caputo. Caputo forces a save from Quinn Lynham in tight. Micah Gill, alternate captain for Mount Lebanon, in pursuit of that puck, which eventually finds the stick of Landon Klein. Klein sends it deep for the Indians, who are making a change behind the play. Blue Devils try to clear, they can't. Bryce O'Donnell turns it right back in toward Lynham before it's cut off by Derek Lohr, the junior. Phillips for Maeda defensively. Another turnover deep in Peters Township territory. And another one, as this shot is blocked out in front by Phillips off the stick of Krupp. Krupp has his own rebound in the far corner. As the Blue Devils work it out in front, it comes right to Zach Palmieri. Convenient bounce there for Peters. Jeremy Poon getting it deep as it dribbles in on Lynham, and Lynham will cover. Lynham coming in 7th among AAA regulars in goals against average, .286. 8th in save percentage with an .890 mark. A personal record of 3 wins, 4 regulation losses, 1 overtime loss, and has a shutout. Both goaltenders have earned a shutout against Cannon McMillan this year. Of course, Kyle Thomas got his just last week in the Miners' Cup game. Ribstein sends it deep for Lebo. Eli Prado giving chase defensively. Ribstein tries to chip it to himself as Prado is without his stick. Now he picks it up as the puck comes to the far corner. Klasnick saw that puck elude him behind the Peters Township net. Tata unable to keep it inside the blue line. Indians try to go D to D as Maeda gets to his feet just in time to exit his own zone. Prado from his own blue line up to Caputo. Caputo sends it in behind the Mount Lebanon goal. Final 3 minutes of first period play. A near turnover there to Martin as Ribstein plays this puck with Martin chasing him from behind. Ribstein underneath Caputo. Ribstein ducks around another check, pursuing this puck all the way to the far corner. To the point it comes. Snapshot through traffic, and that goes just wide off the stick of Williams. Teta to the corner. Centered for Klasnick. Klasnick's shot somehow landed on the back of the net. Officials say play on. It was sitting on top of the meshing. Indians play it out of their own zone. Kavayan Fisher up to center. Fisher, poke check by Ribstein. Indians offside. A good play defensively there by the Mount Lebanon senior, who comes off for a line change with 2:09 to go in the first.
To give some credit to Mount Lebanon here and Jeremy Church keeping their composure after those 2 early goals and getting an opportunity to bounce back into this one. They seem like they're getting a little more of the momentum as this game progressed.
Lebo definitely looks a little bit more sure of itself as time continues to tick away in this first period. Alexander and Caputo scoring early for the Indians. Luke Eberhardt answering not long after a penalty to Caputo as this shot by Jackson Bell goes wide of the net. Turnaround try from the top of the right wing circle also misses the target. This puck played back through center ice. Eberhardt retreating defensively for Lebo. Eberhardt going to bring it outside the zone himself, trying to go up ahead of Bell, who was bumped from behind by Wateska as he tried to accept that pass. Hudson Phillips defensively for the Indians. Has Skuvard up ahead. Instead will try to ricochet it off the boards to Ivanchik. It comes back into Peters Township territory for Wateska, who sends it up to Skuvard. Skuvard had to reach behind himself to take that pass. A little discombobulation there allows Mount Lebanon to play this puck from behind its own net. You heard Austin McLean, final minute of first period play. Ivanchik brings it out for the Indians. Wateska for Martin. Martin unable to get a stick on that puck, but officials say no icing. Sam Eberhardt from the far corner. Up the boards, taken over by Caputo. Caputo with that long reach, trying to center for Rapepi. It's loose in front of Quinn Lynham, and with half a minute to go, the Blue Devils clear it. And this will be icing against Mount Lebanon. 26.2 ticks to talk in the first.
I think one of the things that we were talking about and I brought up during the last break and play was Mount Lebanon taking advantage of the opportunities. And you saw that the opportunities they were getting were the skill plays. They were able to break up the puck, get those opportunities of the shots on net, and they're just taking advantage of them. Unfortunately, weren't able to get one past Thomas during that time.
Rick Tingle is going to tell his team, I'm sure, in the brief respite between periods that they are fortunate to be ahead as they are by a goal at the moment. Caputo trying to restore the 2-goal bulge, but he's met immediately by Williams as we have 3 seconds left, and Maeda will not take any chances. He'll just casually skate it up to center as the buzzer sounds here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center, where your score after one period of play is Peters Township Indians 2, Mount Lebanon Blue Devils 1. With Brian Mitchell, I'm Matt Popchock. You're watching PIHL Hockey Night Live on the PIHL channel, simulcast on Peters Hockey TV and 10-Band TV, and it's all presented by Opeka Auto Repair in McMurray.
All across the United States, each state has what's called an immunization information system. Immunization information systems, or IIS, are confidential, population-based, computerized databases that record all immunization doses administered by participating providers to persons residing within a given geopolitical area. In the United States, every vaccination registry is a bit different, which can become daunting and confusing. Enter PubHub. PubHub solves this issue by giving its providers the ability to connect and communicate to the state registry with one connection and one data format. For example, if a patient has received the COVID-19 vaccine, PubHub allows the provider to see if the patient has already received the vaccine, keeping everything safe and organized for everyone.
Opeka Auto Repair in McMurray is what we hockey people call a seasoned veteran. Not only are they a proud supporter of Peters Township hockey on 10-band TV, but they've had the tools and the talent to get your car back into game shape since 1951. Trust the iCar trained technicians at Opeka Auto Repair in McMurray for your collision and mechanical repair needs and for the primary assist on your insurance claims. Call 724-941-6608 or visit opekaauto.com for a quick estimate. Matt Popchock, Brian Mitchell, PIHL Hockey Night Live, PIHL channel on 10-band TV and Peters Hockey TV as second period action is coming at us fast and furious. Indians with a quick opportunity early in the second period, leading 2-1 over the Blue Devils.
Oh, you were talking about insurance things, and it was like, oh yeah, he's going to have to steal that one up. Caputo just got another opportunity.
First period shots on goal, 9 apiece for Peters and Lebo, and lots of quality saves on those shots by Kyle Thomas in that first period as Peters' penalty kill went 1 for 1, but Mount Lebanon from that power play generated a lot of momentum and a lot of zone time and eventually got rewarded for it with a goal by Luke Eberhardt that has them back in this game.
Mount Lebanon was jumping on all the broken plays in that first period, and Thomas, yeah, they had to be on top of his game because this one could actually be 3 or 4-2 at this point for Mount Lebanon.
Maeda from his stomach keeping that puck inside the Mount Lebanon zone for Martin. A good yeoman-like play there from the Peters Township defenseman, but the Blue Devils take it over and it deflects off a Mount Lebanon stick up to center. That of Connor Ribstein as Ribstein's teammate Eberhardt plays this puck around to the near side. A little too far for Klasnick, who accepts the drop pass from Xavier Bias. From the left side, long save by Kyle Thomas and the long shot by Ribstein, who wants to come off for a line change. Penalty coming up, and again, it's going to go against the Indians, tripping the indication with 15:35 remaining in the second period. Mount Lebanon, a second power play chance in this game.
He went for that little aggressive stick check and ended up picking the player down with him. So, unfortunately, yeah, that is one of those things that's going to be called as a penalty almost every time. So, Mount Lebanon back to the advantage here.
And the special teams battle in a game where you have two capable goaltenders can loom so large. Peters Township in the last meeting between these teams, 2 power play goals and 2 shorthanded goals for that matter, and that's 6-1 victory at Princegate, a 6-2 victory, excuse me. Blue Devils operating on the PP for the second time tonight, trailing by a goal early period 2. Speaking of which, a shorthanded chance maybe for the Indians as they drive the net. Save made, rebound steered out of there. Cam Martin nearly had himself a shorty for the second time this season. And now we're going to get a penalty against the Blue Devils, and that was all the Martin line doing the work to draw that call, as Brian Offerman, the junior, will feel shame for 2 minutes and then get free.
Yeah, Offerman could have just walked away from that play. He instead stayed in the corner with the forward and was able to give him a little bit extra of a push there, and that's what the referees called.
Mount Lebanon, ironically, coming in last in total power plays drawn on the season with only 21 on the year, had the first 2 power plays of this game. Not anymore. We'll skate 4-on-4 for 1:41. And then Peters Township, which had the second most power plays drawn coming in the AAA classification, well, they'll get a truncated power play for about 20 seconds. Ribstein unable to handle. Holleran puts it off the glass. And let's see what happens on the open ice with a little more room to maneuver for both these teams as that backdoor play misfired, intended for Drew Alexander. Coming the other way is Klasnick. Klasnick poke checked at the blue line by one of the Indians. Holleran on the counterattack for Peters Township. Holleran forces a blocker save from Lynham. Holleran forcing a steal now for Alexander. Alexander unable to split the defense. Klasnick with the puck now for the Blue Devils. Coming over the attacking line has Ribstein with him on his right. Poke check there by Wateska defensively. Wateska up past center for Peters Township. Over the Mount Lebanon blue line. Wateska down low. Wateska surveys the play, goes up top to Hudson Phillips, who keeps it just onside. To Holleran on the half wall. Hudson Phillips unable to handle that pass at the left point, and a chance maybe the other way for Ribstein if he can hurry. He'll be the first one to get to this puck, but he's got Hudson Phillips bearing down on him, and Phillips gives him a little what for into the glass. Wateska defensively with 30 seconds to go in the 4-on-4. Around the boards, cutting off that puck is Griffin Krupp. Near corner it comes now to Wateska. Up for Alexander. Alexander across the Lebo blue line. Alexander through the left wing circle. attracting attention from the Mount Lebanon defense. Dropping for Maeda. Maeda, poke check by Williams. Williams and Maeda going at it in the corner. Maeda stays with this puck for Peters Township. Maeda chips it around Williams. Maeda with room to work with now. Sideline net for Caputo. That pass just barely misfired.
Was there a stick in there?
Looked like there might have been. I'm not sure if Lynham got a piece of that with his goaltender's blade or not, but in any event, the Blue Devils clear it. So Peters Township nearly did score on that very abbreviated power play, as both teams are back to 5 aside now. 13:10 to go second period, and it remains a 2-1 lead for the Indians here against the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. Around the glass it comes for Cam Martin. Martin leading it for Caputo. Caputo across the blue line. Caputo snapshot into the glove of Lynham, and he'll hold for a face-off.
Just a nice little back and forth there in the defensive zone. Whereas Peters Township, he took a little extra time behind the net, and whenever the pressure from Mount Lebanon came onto him, it was just a little tough for him to get out of the zone. The outlet passes weren't there.
Blue Devils win this defensive zone face-off and work it up to Micah Gill. Gill from the far side off the foot of Kavan Fisher, who was blasted by one of the Blue Devils as he tried to kick that puck deep into the Mount Lebanon zone. That was Braden Wirtz laying the lumber on Fisher. Turnaround for Gill. Gill unable to hang on to that puck as he tried to tee up a turnaround shot. Gill in pursuit again now for Mount Lebanon. Bumped by Fisher on a good clean hip check there, deep in Peters Township ice. Another puck battle in the Indian zone. And Gill again with determination, fighting for control, and Mount Lebanon has this puck near side for Eberhardt. Eberhardt through a crowd, saved by Thomas. The rebound goes off to his left. Eberhardt fanning on the attempt from the right point and retreats to center red to play it. Holleran and Ivanchik try to tie him up, but here come the Blue Devils 2-on-2. Wirtz trying to go to Tetlow down the middle, but he's not going to get that opportunity. Austin Corbel in there pitchforking away. Holleran clears the zone for Peters Township. Teta retreating defensively for Lebo. Nice two-line pass accepted by Wirtz. Wirtz to the corner. A correction, that's Jackson Bell, 96, out in front, intended for Jacob Lehman. Lehman unable to take that pass as the Indians try to get their transition game going. Ivanchik is content to send this puck deep into Mount Lebanon ice and come off for a line change. Scuvart gets hit up high with the Indians completing their change. Williams for Lehman. Lehman trying to get around Phillips. Easier said than done. Bell trying to center at the side of the net for Kurta. That pass broken up by Peters Township as the Indians work it up to center red. Lead pass intended for Alexander went off a Mount Lebanon skate. Offerman using his big frame to get in the lane. Delayed offside situation there against Peters Township allows Mount Lebanon to play this puck, as we're going to get a penalty coming up against the Indians as Kurta was tripped trying to enter the Peters Township zone. And will the third time be the charm for the Mount Lebanon power play? That is the question.
We'll go to that in a second, but a lot of confusion around the blue line as they thought there was an offside. There was no whistle. I thought I heard like the resemblance of a whistle, but there was actually nothing. And Mount Lebanon coming in, and it was just a confusion penalty, as I think he just got into him to make sure he didn't make the play trying to recover. Whew.
Peters Township continues to cling to a 2-1 lead with 10:38 to go to the ice cut here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center in the township of Mount Lebanon, 20 minutes south of downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Great to be back here after a long absence as the Blue Devils go to work on special teams once again. All three goals coming in period one as this snapshot is blocked by Wateska, who took one for the team. Ribstein trying to ricochet this puck out in front for Lehman. Peters Township, a very strong first period team this year. Now a goal differential of +10 in first periods after tonight. And trying to keep the Blue Devils on the, off the board, I should say, for a third time on the PK. Indians coming in at 86.4% on the penalty kill, good for fourth of the 11 teams in AAA. Puck is held by Thomas for a face-off. 1:12 to go on the minor penalty on Drew Alexander. Kyle Thomas, the senior, getting the nod for Peters Township tonight. 4th in save percentage at .913, 5th in goals against at .211, a 4-3, 0-1 overall record, including a shutout victory in the Miners' Cup last Tuesday night. Thomas taking that tough luck loss in the shootout Tuesday, finishing with 23 saves in defeat and stopping 2 of the 3 shooters as Logan Taylor scored the first and only goal of the shootout in round 1. Thomas makes a save there, and the rebound is smashed in by Sawyer Klasnick. Hit that horn, baby, let's dance. It's 2-2.
Well, there it was, one of those opportunities of a player bouncing off, finding the open ice, and it was another Mount Lebanon chance that was capitalized on this time. So we're now tied up, 9:34 remaining in the second period. Sure, I am Ron Burgundy, but anyway, we are there, Mr. Popchock, all tied up.
This time it is a power play goal for the Blue Devils. Klasnick's 6th goal of the season and 2nd on the PP. Klasnick, as we told you, an excellent student earlier this year, earning commended status in the National Merit Scholar competition. He's a bright young man on and off the ice. As here's a steal by Cam Martin, the other captain. Martin to the goal, toe drag shooting off the iron. Oh, Cam Martin finding metal but not mesh. Inches away from getting it right back for the Indians. Loud save at the other end, meanwhile, by Kyle Thomas on the shot from Gill. Teta from the far boards from Mount Lebanon to the corner. Gill unable to handle that puck. Fisher trying to sail it up to Martin. This time it's gloved down by one of the Blue Devils.
Threw me off on the camera.
Christian Teta trying to get that puck deep for Mount Lebanon. But here comes Charlie Caputo for Peters Township. Caputo's shot from 1 foot is held and covered by Lineham.
Yeah, I'm working the camera here today, and I've actually missed that one because I thought that one was definitely coming out. It was a great play.
We're approaching the midpoint of this second period and this game with Peters Township and Mount Lebanon tied at 2 in Class AAA action. Sawyer Klasnick, the power play goal from Bias and Shin. Klasnick now with points in 4 consecutive PIHL games. Came in tied for 5th in both points and goals in the AAA classification as this snapshot is dropped but ultimately held by Lineham.
Shots are now 15-11, no, 15-12, 14-12 in favor of the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils.
Oh, you said it, Brian. The Blue Devils have grown into this game very gracefully after a very suboptimal start. Those 2 early Peters Township goals. But the Blue Devils, to say the least, have not panicked.
Yeah, you get in those 2-0 holes and early in the game, some teams will just start struggling to figure out what their game is to try to recover. Mount Lebanon just made it their own.
And at the other end, Kyle Thomas, handcuffed by that shot, hangs on to it nevertheless, as the Indians make a couple of changes before this face-off in Peters Township territory. And Shin, who helped set up that Klasnick special teams marker, is going to actually come off here for Jeremy Church, who wants a fresh unit on to take this face-off. Klasnick's line will do the honors against a line centered by Brady Holleran of Peters Township. And ultimately the Indians win the face-off, but they don't control it for long, as missing on the wraparound attempt are the Blue Devils. Thomas makes a save from above the left wing circle on Offerman. That was Curta trying to tuck it in at the far post prior to the Offerman attempt, as Thomas forces another face-off. I love a good dark-on-dark jersey matchup, but sometimes the numbers and names can be hard to read depending on how dark or light the jerseys are, as Thomas is forced to cover again.
That's what it takes me back a couple weeks ago whenever I think our buddy Matt Geica was talking about the St. Seneca Valley blackout jerseys when he had to call the game from Michigan, and he was it's like, please don't wear those. But yeah, sometimes these color rushes, they're good jerseys, but they're tough to call.
We are in great awe of the Raiders and their season, but yes, I can corroborate that the struggle is real with the black on blues, or the blue on blacks, I should say.
The white on yellow here is pretty tough too, so no lie, I'm glad we're pretty close over the ice and can see them well, but any further away, it'd be a little bit tougher.
Klein driving the net. Klein off the body of Lynham, and the rebound goes wide of the corner for Alexander, who goes to his feet to try to play this puck. Alexander was hit from behind, I think, in the shins by a Mount Lebanon stick, but we play on here as the puck is worked back to center for Klasnick. Klasnick sends it to the near corner. Bias goes after the dump in and puts it right off the knees of Thomas. Maeda dangling through center ice. Over the attacking line for Peters Township. Maeda around Sam Eberhard, out in front. Backdoor play. Oh, what a save by Lynham. At the side of the net, it's still loose. And somehow, some way, Quinn Lynham says, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
Very close opportunity there by Peters Township. They were able to fire one off the side of Lynham. Maybe almost got the bounce there if they were lucky, or just a little bit of an inch off. Maybe that would have bounced off the inside of his pad, but they didn't get it that time, and we're still tied up here. 6:43 remaining in the second.
Everything there but the execution as the Blue Devils control off the faceoff. Krupp from his own corner. Murphy dumping this puck up to center, intended for Graham Ressler. Corbel's going to get there first defensively for the Indians, and it bounces off the referee, who puts his left arm up for a delayed offside on Mount Lebanon, and that allows the Indians to get this puck deep and just off the body of Lynham. Lynham had to play that puck inside his own crease off the untoward bounce. Shin coughed it up for a moment to Repepi, but the Blue Devils recover as Williams gets it back to center red. And now Caputo counters for Peters Township. Caputo toward goal. Oh, no, it didn't go in. Caputo thinks it went in. We thought it went in. Officials say no goal.
I want to look at that one again.
So do I, Brian Mitchell. So do I.
I'm watching it in the camera here.
Caputo, left wing circle, trying to center it this time for Fisher. This time the pass is going to be broken up. Oh, I think, from my vantage point, it looked like the puck initially went off the post, under the crossbar, and in. And my executive producer, Todd Kazarowski, is corroborating me.
And I saw the same thing on the camera, but unfortunately there's no video replay in the league, so we're going to have to go by them. But I'm fairly certain that's what I saw inside this little TV that I'm watching when I work the camera.
Oh, now it's the Blue Devils making a deal with the hockey gods, or the hockey devils, as it were, as Mount Lebanon is guilty of icing with 5 1/4 to go to the ice cut.
I got to see this. Oh, I think that was in. I don't know. I don't know. It was just on the outside of the post that gave me that look. The posts are a little worn down here, so it's a little darker on top of them, of the crossbar. I'm not sure. It's close, but unfortunately it's not called on the ice, so we're all tied up.
2-2 your score, still with under 5 to go in period 2. O'Donnell out in front. O'Donnell just missing the top corner as he nearly hit the postage stamp there for Peters Township. Palmieri trying to shove his man off that puck as Jeremy Poon gets it in behind the Mount Lebanon net. Near side it'll come now to one of the Blue Devils. That's Jacob Lehman trying to help out his defenders as Mount Lebanon finally gets it back to center and through center. This will not be icing on the Blue Devils as O'Donnell slaps it around the boards. Waiting for it is Palmieri in front of the home team bench, and Palmieri put into the glass as he gets it in on Lynham and comes off for a line change. Assistant coach Jim McVeigh screaming something at somebody as this puck is covered by Lynham. Not sure if he's barking at his team, barking at the officials, or...
that was close with Lynham holding the puck like that. You have to let that play. That's why he opened up to let it go. Cam Martin came in flying and got leveled in front of the net for his troubles. But, yeah, there is that part of it. It is a delay a game if you don't let it go, if the referee says to let it go. That might be what McVeigh was looking for. And
McVeigh is a veteran goaltender himself, and not shy about voicing his opinions, but
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
As Prado shoots this puck from right point and it deflects wide.
Yeah, that's one of those oddities about the rules in hockey. If they say to play it, you can get a delay of game if you don't play it.
Gill over the attacking line, off the blocker hand of Thomas. And the Blue Devils have the rebound. That's Braden Wirtz ridden off that puck into the corner glass. Caputo with it, who may or may not have scored earlier in this period for the Peters Township Indians. Caputo on 1 foot snaps it. That shot was blocked. And I believe Wirtz gotten away of that one. Near side it comes. Maeda trying to pinch to keep it alive for Peters Township. He won't be able to. Braden Wirtz has it again, having a good shift here for the Blue Devils late in the second period in a 2-2 game. Martin dispossessing Wirtz as we hear the Zamboni rev up right underneath Media Row here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center. Martin out in front. Oh, an awkward save made there from an awkward angle on Blake Ivanchik, the freshman.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I missed about Mount Lebanon is the Zamboni enters directly underneath you. It's one of those things that's really cool that you don't get from many other rinks. Is you don't get to see that view of the Zamboni just backs out, but you also know that I have some obsession with Zambonis, and I'm figuring out why Todd Kaczorowski hasn't put a camera on one yet.
We've got the Zamboni in the house. We've got Tyler Kennedy watching in the general vicinity of the Zamboni, so we've got a Stanley Cup champion off the ice and a Penguins Cup champion team on the ice in a battle here with the upstart Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. Peters Township 2, Lebo 2. Blue Devils fell behind early 2-0. They've responded with goals by Luke Eberhardt and a power play tally from Captain Sawyer Klasnick after Alexander and Caputo scored in period 1 for the visitors. 2.5 to go before we cut the ice. And that Zamboni can do its duty as Peters Township is offside.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a rough call there because Mount Lebanon put that back onside. So once again, one of those calls that's a little bit of an oddity, but it's on the referee's discretion on that, whether or not they intended to do so or it was. Might have been a break there from Mount Lebanon, though.
Holleran off the face-off, puts a shoulder in Xavier Bias as the Indians control inside their own territory. Eberhardt from his own blue line up to Ribstein. Ribstein deep into Peters Township ice. Corbel defensively for the Indians, off the far boards, not quite out. Now Holleran will take it himself. Holleran squeezes through a hip check, falls to his knees to get that puck deep for Skuvart. Skuvart out in front, off a skate, and it ricocheted wide of goal. A fortunate break there for the Blue Devils and Quinn Lynham, their goaltender. Klasnick with a 2-on-1 now with Bias on his right wing. Klasnick shooting, but it's blocked by Corbel. Corbel was with him all the way. Bias plays it to himself. Bias shouldered now by Corbel off that puck. And the Indians get it back to center. Luke Eberhardt for Klasnick. But offside for the Blue Devils was the sophomore Resler. So they'll drop this puck just outside the Peters Township blue line in a 2-2 game late second period. Shin tying up Alexander as the Blue Devils win this faceoff and get this puck deep. Hudson Phillips behind his own net for Peters Township. Ben Tracy lets it go to center. Blue Devils play it near side for Shin. Wateska behind his own goaltender around the boards. Tracy pressured, gave it away to Shin. Shin off a Mount Lebanon skate. That was Resler catching the friendly fire as we approach the final minute of second period play. Alexander has Caputo up ahead. Caputo sees that pass elude his stick. It's swiped aside, but the Indians control the puck still. Alexander trying to outmaneuver Resler. Shot from the point is blocked. Good gap control there by Offerman as Mount Lebanon is guilty of icing with 47.3 ticks to talk. Peters Township points in 6 consecutive games. Mount Lebanon looking to avoid a 3-game losing streak. Their last victory, a 4-3 decision at the Ice Castle over the Baldwin Highlanders. Mount Lebanon won a very important game against Baldwin. Baldwin's senior night game actually last year by that same score, coming from behind to win that game in overtime. And that ended up being the game that put Mount Lebanon in the playoffs and knocked Baldwin out when all was said and done. Maeda from distance off the skate of Klasnick. Martin operating down low for Peters Township. Final half minute of the period. Maeda taking his time, under some pressure now from Bias. Holler into the corner, trying to go to Martin. Martin tied up by Klasnick. Palmieri offering offensive support for the Indians, but can't hang on to the puck. Bias with a pass down the middle to Ribstein. Ribstein on 1 foot, puts it on goal. Good save there by Thomas on the 30-foot leaner. This puck goes into the Blue Devils bench, and so we'll face it off in neutral ice with just over 5 seconds showing on the second period clock. Two seconds remaining as Ribstein controls it. He listens to the buzzer, and that means it's time to cut the ice at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center, where your score after 2 periods of play in PIHL Class AAA action is Peters Township Indians 2, Mount Lebanon Blue Devils 2. With Brian Mitchell, I am Matt Popchock, and you're watching it all on PIHL Hockey Night Live on the PIHL channel, simulcast on Peters Hockey TV and 10-Band TV, and it's all presented by Opeka Auto Repair in McMurray. We've got third period action right around the corner, but first, some music from the 412.
All across the United States, each state has what's called an immunization information system. Immunization information systems, or IIS, are confidential, population-based, computerized databases that record all immunization doses administered by participating providers to persons residing within a given geopolitical area. In the United States, every vaccination registry is a bit different, which can become daunting and confusing. Enter PubHub. PubHub solves this issue by giving its providers the ability to connect and communicate to the state registry with one connection and one data format. For example, if a patient has received the COVID-19 vaccine, PubHub allows the provider to see if the patient has already received the vaccine, keeping everything safe and organized for everyone.
Points on the season, had a goal and an assist the last time these teams met on Halloween night. And a chance for the Indians out in front, and Drew Alexander scores. 55 seconds in. Chambers, Peters Township, as Martin plays it up to himself at center ice. Martin over the blue line around him, and cross-ice pass. One-timer! Charlie Caputo! Crisscross applesauce! 2-0 Peters Township, 14:21 remaining first period.
It's the way you draw it.
Reset to the point, it dribbles wide of goal. Going in after it is Klasnick from Mount Lebanon. Klasnick behind the net. It's sent out in front. One-timer Oak. Thomas got over just in time to get a piece of that backdoor attempt from the stick of Klasnick. Indians have good work there to avert disaster by the alternate captain, and Eberhardt carries the puck now for the Blue Devils, and Eberhardt scores! Luke Eberhardt makes that donut disappear as we approach the midpoint of period one. We've got a new hockey game. Blue line, Indians control. Maeda defensively, right down the middle, given away to Ribstein. Ribstein for Bias. Bias shot, save made. Rebound put off the side of the net. Oh, the Blue Devils had a yawning net, but Klasnick couldn't finish. Shot save made. Rebound put off the side of the net. Oh, the Blue Devils had a yawning net, but Klasnick couldn't finish. And from the side of the net, Ripstein puts it off the meshing again as Thomas was diving to his left to try to make the save off of Thomas. And that was pretty much the same spot from which Eberhardt scored earlier in the period. Repepe crossing the blue line onside. Repepe to Caputo. Caputo forces a save from Quinn Lynham in tight. 1951. Trust the iCar trained technicians at Opeka Auto Repair in McMurray for your collision and mechanical repair needs and for the primary assist on your insurance claims. Call 724-941-6608 or visit opekaauto.com. Lebanon Blue Devils. Around the glass it comes for Cam Martin. Martin leading it for Caputo. Caputo across the blue line. Caputo snapshot into the glove of Lynham, and he'll hold for a face-off. Offerman using his big frame to get in the lane. Delayed offside situation there against Peters Township allows Mount Lebanon to play this puck, as we're going to get a penalty coming up against the Indians as Curto was tripped trying to enter the Peters Township zone. 3 shooters as Logan Taylor scored the first and only goal of the shootout in round 1. Thomas makes a save there, and the rebound is smashed in by Sawyer Klasnick. Hit that horn, baby, let's dance. It's 2-2. Merit Scholar competition. He's a bright young man on and off the ice. As here's a steal by Cam Martin, the other captain. Martin to the goal, toe drag shooting off the iron. Oh, Cam Martin finding metal but not mesh. Inches away from getting it right back.
Threw me off on the camera.
Christian Teta trying to get that puck deep for Mount Lebanon. But here comes Charlie Caputo for Peters Township. Caputo's shot from 1 foot is held and covered by Lynham.
Yeah, I'm working the camera here today, and I've actually...
Maeda around Sam Eberhardt, out in front, backdoor play. Oh, what a save by Lynham, but the side of the net, it's still loose, and somehow, some way, Quinn Lynham says, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
Very close opportunity.
Happy, but the Blue Devils recover as Williams gets it back to center red, and now Caputo counters for Peters Township. Caputo toward goal. Oh, no, it didn't go in. Caputo thinks it went in. We thought it went in. Officials say no goal.
I want to look. We're all tied up.
2-2 your score, still with under 5 to go in period 2. O'Donnell out in front. O'Donnell just missing the top corner as he nearly hit the postage stamp there for Peters Township. Horrible off that puck. And the Indians get it back to center. Luke Eberhardt for Klasnick. But offside for the Blue Devils was the sophomore Resler. We have some news to break during the ice cut here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center with Peters Township and Mount Lebanon tied at 2. Brian Mitchell from the PIHL office has your November 2023 PIHL Players of the Month.
I don't know what part of the office I'm from, but, you know, I'm here tonight. I've got the Players of the Month for you from November. I just want to say congratulations to these foursome this year. For this month, actually, it's Senzo DiTullio, the AAA Player of the Month. He was 4-0 with a 1.50 goals against average and a 947 save percentage. Very well done up there for the Raiders. In Double-A, it was Bryce Krupczynski from the Penn Trafford Warriors. He had two goals and 5 assists over the month of November. Of course, Penn Trafford knocking off Thomas Jefferson a couple weeks ago. You're going to see the Jaguars up next. On the next one, Connor Ralston, 10 goals, 5 assists for the Avonworth Antelope, Mr. Popchock. The Avonworth Antelope keeping that team up in the top part of the standings during that month. And Gavin Crivelli in Division 2. I mean, this stat line right here was something. 15 goals, 8 assists over 7 games for the Central Valley Warriors. The Central Valley Warriors, of course, I haven't got to see yet, but I've heard a lot about them this year, as a couple of the coaches from the other teams in Division II had told me early in the season, watch out for this team. So shout out to Central Valley for putting it together this season. They're having actually a pretty solid season to start. It's a rough go whenever you have some of these super teams that you've been seeing this year, and Bishop Canada is having an amazing season. Ringgold's bouncing back. Central Valley. Carrick is bouncing back in AA. Deer Lakes is strong. It's going to be a tough one in there, but it's a good job for the Central Valley Warriors this season. Gavin Crivelli, congratulations, and it's a really good detail to have.
And it's his first year playing PIHL hockey for Crivelli, and he's already a player of the month and very much in contention for a scoring title in the co-op division. He's having a phenomenal season, and the Warriors, who were a one-win team last year, are anything but this year. They're very much in the playoff hunt.
They told me it was a whole different world up in Central Valley, and watch out for the Warriors this season, so that is a really good job up there, up at Brady's Run that is going on. A little note from everything. Just so everybody knows, we have Thomas Jefferson and South Fayette up next week. If you're interested in watching maybe an interesting preview game, it's going to be on my Pittsburgh Hockey Digest station on 10 Band TV. The Wildcat Network had to drop their coverage of the Wildcats and Thomas Jefferson Jaguars. I only live about 10 minutes away, and I was off next week, so I picked up a doubleheader. And if you watch the Wildcat Network, they're on right now. Chris Beddick's probably saying the exact same thing I am about to say. He's going to be joining me next week to call that game. So anybody that watches the Greater Latrobe Wildcats, you're going to have an opportunity to see that game. And that game is a possible preview of that Class 2A championship, possibly for the Penguins Cup, because those two teams are just leapfrogging each other as the season progresses.
And you could say the same about tonight's nightcap, Thomas Jefferson and South Fayette. The Lions, the state champs, are finding their form after getting their home rink back, and the Jaguars just look like a team on a mission.
Let's talk about that AA division right now. We were saying this in the pregame. Yeah, we say possible championship because we said who's the top four in this league? It's anybody in AA right now. I mean, you know, you have some down years after some graduations. Armstrong's not as strong as they were. North Hills isn't where they were last season, but Norwin moved up to AA, and they are playing strong. Fox Chapel's playing strong after moving up. Latrobe is just changing it after the coach changed this season. He has absolutely locked in. Thomas Jefferson, they're always a perennial favorite anywhere, any division that they're in. They've just moved up. And then teams like South Fayette, strong last year, strong this year. Opportunity there. Hempfield has shown a lot of potential and promise this season. You know, you got teams like Penn Trafford who just knocked off Bryce Krupczynski has that team going. Chris Cerruti's doing a heck of a job with that squad this year. You know, it's going to be a fun season, and if you're not watching PIHL hockey this season, you've got many outlets to be able to watch it, especially in that AA. And I just want to say thank you to you guys, you, Todd Kazarowski, everybody. It's making my job a lot easier. I'm keeping an eye on these broadcast numbers. 96 games by the Christmas break we will have broadcasted for the PIHL. And I know we're getting off topic, and I like to ramble, but thank you. If you're watching at home, thank you for watching on 10 Band TV. You guys are making this possible by watching these broadcasts, making these guys want to come out and do this. Me do it. Mon Valley doing it. You know, all of it. Renda up and doing it. Thank you. Trib, thank you. I'm going to say 1,000 things. Thank you. I'm going to be all Matt Popchock and say thank you to everybody, but thank you. We got players back on the ice. We actually got a game we got to go to, so I'm going to be back to it.
And thank you, Brian Mitchell. You've made my job easier this evening by being our special guest in the booth and behind the camera, for that matter.
I'm contractually obligated to have to make a trip outside of my comfort zone once a year, so this is it.
Yeah, congratulations to all.
Well, Mr. Popchock, we got in trouble, so we got a little cut off there. Sorry.
That's all right, Brian. Thanks again, and congratulations again to all the players of the month. Krupczynski, that great game last week. You said it for Penn Trafford, knocking off TJ. DeTulio's looked great in goal for Seneca Valley. Crivelli's having the big year for Central Valley. And I remember saying at the end of last year, Avonworth could be a really improved team this year, and the Lopes have been great. And that's thanks in large part to the play of Connor Ralston. And Ralston is part of a really exciting group of underclassmen at that program. We got an exciting game here as third period action is underway between the Peters Township Indians and the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. It's a 2-2 contest. Matt Popchock and Brian Mitchell with you from the Mount Lebanon Ice Center on PIHL Hockey Night Live on the PIHL channel, part of 10 Band TV. Simulcast for game number 1 on Peters Hockey TV, and it's all presented by the Opeka Auto Repair in McMurray. Waiting in the wings, as Brian Mitchell said between periods, are the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars and South Fayette Lions in game number 2, which should be facing off right around 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on 10 Band TV. As the Blue Devils are guilty of icing, we have our first stoppage 36 seconds into the final period of play. Now, Drew Alexander got the scoring started for the Indians with his 4th goal in his last 5 games. Charlie Caputo, who quietly has a 3-game goal streak tacked on for the Indians. But it's been all Mount Lebanon since. Luke Eberhardt, the blue liner, with a big goal just after a Mount Lebanon power play had fallen by the wayside. Then on the 3rd attempt, the Blue Devils power play finally successful for the lone second period goal by either team as Sawyer Klasnick, the captain, smashed in a rebound beyond a hapless Kyle Thomas, and that is where we stand right now. Klasnick now among the top 5 goal scorers unofficially in Class AAA as Week 11 of the regular season winds down here in the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Hockey League. Poon for O'Donnell. O'Donnell clamoring for that puck, but the two unable to connect. Blue Devils flip this puck deep into Peters Township ice, where it's casually settled down by Thomas for Maeda. Maeda makes 1-man miss, makes 2-man miss, but not the third. The third was Jacob Lehman, and Lehman gets the counterattack going for the Blue Devils, and that save is made from the right wing side by Kyle Thomas off the shot from Ben Curda. And we have a penalty coming up against the Blue Devils early in this third period as Holleran is shaken up. The on-duty EMT comes onto the ice to get a look at Holleran, who went hard into the boards just off to Thomas's left. And it's going to be Jackson Bell sitting down in disgust inside the sin bin. And it's going to be a 2 and 10 on Bell for a hit from behind. So the Indians get their first proper power play, if you will, of this game. Of course, they had that truncated power play after the 4-on-4 that took place in the middle of period 2. Indians, in years past, have been lethal on the man advantage, but they've struggled on special teams this year, just 8th on the power play out of 11 teams coming in, as Holleran is helped to his feet slowly by the EMT and gets some rounds of applause and stick taps. And Holleran is not putting a lot of weight on that one leg as he is helped off the ice by Eli Prado and Kavan Fisher. It seems to be a left leg injury to Holleran. Indians power play coming in at 20.5%. Mount Lebanon, middle of the pack thereabouts on the PK, at 85.2% entering Thursday. Blue Devils get a big face-off win and a clear from Eberhardt. And a shorthanded chance for Klasnick, who's knocked off that puck at the last second by Maeda. Oh boy. Maeda with speed and purpose now for Peters Township. Across the attacking line for Martin. Martin shoots it off the body of Lanham. Caputo has the rebound far side. Up to the point for Fisher. Fisher pivoting for Maeda. Maeda down low, puts it high and wide off the glass. Alexander has the rebound. Indians operating with hair on fire urgency to begin this power play early in the third period. Game tied at 2. Caputo unable to hang on down low as the Blue Devils clear it. Conrady called off. As Jeremy Church makes some changes on special teams, Martin plays it at center for Fisher. 1:10 to go in the power play for Peters Township as Fisher gets the puck deep. Williams gets there first defensively for Mount Lebanon, but that puck is cut off by Camden Martin. Martin for Fisher. Fisher cross ice for Maeda. Maeda toward goal. Kick save, and the rebound goes to the boards. Tetlow sends it the length of the ice for Lebo. 50 to go in the power play for the Indians. 3 minutes gone by in period 3. Game tied at 2. Maeda over the attacking line. Maeda protecting this puck. Maeda for Ivanchik. Ivanchik under pressure from Tetlow. Tetlow won that battle, and Offerman got it to center red. Maeda outmaneuvers Tetlow. Near side for Wateska. Wateska and Martin get discombobulated at the attacking blue line, and Martin a bit frustrated as he comes off here late in the power play. Lynham juggling that loose puck before Palmieri could get to it, and covers with 16 to go in the PK for Mount Lebanon.
Oops, sorry to everybody at home. We had a little miscommunication on the production side. You're following a bunch of random players. I fell asleep at the controls. Sorry, guys.
Palmieri pushes his puck to the boards off the faceoff, and the Blue Devils get another clear. Tedda gets it deep. That should just about do it for the Peters Township power play, so the Indians will fall to 0 for 2 as Lehman's off-balance shot is hugged by Thomas. And the player serving the penalty, the minor end of the 2-10, Connor Ribstein, immediately goes back to his own bench as we're back to 5 aside. Scuvart to the right point for Palmieri. Palmieri through a crowd. That hit off a Mount Lebanon body in front, and it hurt the player it hit, I think. That's Christian Tedda shaken up as Lehman plays this puck near side for the Blue Devils. Liam Shin for Krupp. Krupp over the blocker hand of Thomas, just missing the crossbar. That shot from above the right circle was blocked. Scuvart gets it back to center. Indians making a quick change on the fly here as Conrady brings it over the line from Mount Lebanon for Krupp. Krupp on goal, glove save Thomas, and he has the rebound. So Jackson Bell will now serve the misconduct portion of the 2-10 with 12:26 to go in regulation, and we remain tied at 2. Mount Lebanon 2 successful penalty kills on the night. And the Indians win the defensive zone faceoff, and they're going to go right back to the power play as Fisher's stick was knocked out of his hands. Mount Lebanon scored on their third power play chance of the night. Can Peters Township replicate that feat? We shall see. Xavier Bias making perhaps a freshman mistake there, taking the offensive zone penalty and putting his team behind the 8 ball once again in a tie game late. Slashing the official indication against Bias.
They got to switch it on the scoreboard. They have Mount Lebanon up as the visitor. They said roll with it. They'll get it figured out. Nope, they're switching it now.
Maeda off a face-off win for Peters Township as the Indians operate on another power play. We have another whistle.
They're stopping it. They didn't fix. They went to fix the power play. They took it off the scoreboard and they dropped the puck. So they're having some problems in the score box right now. They'll get it figured out.
And Jeremy Church is visibly upset on the Mount Lebanon bench as officials are going to the scores table to confer.
So they got to put 12:22 back on the scoreboard now that there's 4 seconds rolled off without a penalty on the board. Or they're just going to go with 1:56. Are they going to... You can't just... I don't know. I'm not... I'm not an official, sir. I'm just a confused man.
Not the first error at the scores table we have witnessed this season. Will not be the last, I am sure. And Jim McVeigh, the Peters Township assistant coach, is trying to get the attention of the scores table as they're still in discussion trying to get this remedied. The penalty is now on the correct side of the scoreboard. Of that much we are certain. The question, as you said, Brian, is...
Should it be 12:22 on the main scoreboard and 2 minutes on the penalty, or are they going to count those 4 seconds, which it should, theoretically, should not count? And that's where the problem is with Mount Lebanon. Well, I mean, right now Mount Lebanon wants that to count, but that's probably where Jim McVeigh's questioning it.
Rick Tingle nodding his head a couple of times after getting the explanation from McVeigh. And they have reset the clock, the game clock that is, and they have reset the penalty clock as well, as the Mount Lebanon bench continues to express indignation.
And they're going back to talk to Jeremy Church.
Church assisted by Dave Hornack, a longtime coach in this area, who's seen a tour of duty as head coach of the varsity squad. And
wasn't hard to lip read 4 seconds off of Jeremy Church.
No, it was not. With the Blue Devils 2 weeks removed from a game that was decided and extended with 1 second to spare in regulation, 4 seconds can make a world of difference, as they well know. In any event, the Blue Devils do get a clear to begin the penalty kill. So the point perhaps moot as we get another penalty coming up. And who's this one going to go against? This might go against the Indians.
It will.
Line them off for the extra attackers. So we'll play a minute 36 of 4-on-4 hockey. And then the Blue Devils will get a truncated power play, and that will be their 4th power play of the game. Kavan Fisher getting overzealous in his own end.
Yeah, I could see I'm going to go back to it. I could see the argument for Jeremy Church, but that was an accidental drop by the referee, so, nor there. Neither here nor there.
Tripping the indication against the Peters Township junior defenseman. And so once again, we've got some open ice for both teams to work with here in a tie game. 11:45 to go, 3rd period. Both these teams coming in with 34 goals scored as a team, tied for 2nd with Seneca Valley in the AAA classification for the most. Mount Lebanon, a much improved team in general, and a much improved team certainly from an offensive standpoint, to be able to hold its own with a team of Peters Township's caliber, as Thomas covers next to the goal crease. Palmieri with a clean face-off win for the Indians to Hudson Phillips. Phillips gains the red line and gets it deep with 1:05 to go in the 4-on-4. Krupp near side. Ribstein couldn't get there. Caputo has it as he's harassed by Liam Shin. Up it comes now to Ribstein. Dropping back to Krupp. Krupp from center ice gets it deep into Peters Township territory. Phillips creating space. Going to defensive partner Wateska. Up to Caputo. Caputo thought about going to Palmieri. Palmieri was too well covered. Caputo just puts it harmlessly wide of the goal now, as we have 33 seconds remaining in the 4-on-4. Phillips cross ice for Wateska. Wateska shooting high and wide. Palmieri to the point for Phillips. Phillips keeps it on side. Good play by the Peters blue liner. Palmieri all alone to the goal. Shot, save it, line him. Rebound, save again, line him. And this time there is no rebound as Caputo is bear hugged after the whistle.
That was a tough shot from the outside and a smart shot to try to put that off of Lineman at really, really sharp angle. So Caputo and Ripstein are just continuing to go back and forth.
19 to go now in the 4-on-4. Martin on to take the face-off against Klasnick, the two captains, and Klasnick won the draw for Mount Lebanon. Offerman, right side of Lehman. Lehman trying to get around Corbel. Lehman pulling back to the right point it goes for Williams. Down low to Klasnick. Mount Lebanon about to go on a brief power play here with 10:20 to go in the 3rd period. Bias comes out of the box as the puck comes to Offerman. Offerman puts it through a sea of bodies. That never made it on goal. Lehman out in front. It's still loose. Blue Devils fighting for it, and Klasnick put it just wide. Bias from a bad angle puts it wide of goal. Wateska just trying to rag the puck here and take the time off the penalty clock, and he will be successful in doing so as Fisher retires to the Peters Township bench. Offerman erroneously puts it off the rafter in Peters Township territory, and we are back to 5-a-side with under 10 to go in regulation.
Well, you got your feats of strength here. Both teams trying to find that answer, but neither of them really getting an opportunity to take away from the other. I mean, who wants it more is really where we're at this point. The shots are exactly where they need to be. Thomas and Lyman are definitely holding this one up.
Oh, if there's one thing Mount Lebanon would love before the holiday break, it's a signature win, and this would certainly qualify against a big South Hills rival and the two-time Penguins Cup champion in Class AAA. Mount Lebanon coming in above the playoff line, but not by very much. And just one victory away from moving to within 2 points of the Indians in the overall Class AAA standings. Such a fine line this year in Class AAA, as you and I talked about, between success and failure in that classification.
And who wants to be in that top four? That's what it comes down to. Who is the top four here?
Across the line it comes. Wirtz toward goal. Thomas makes the save. Indians have the rebound. Up to Martin. Martin a little too far for Caputo. Instead it comes right to Luke Eberhardt, who sends the Blue Devil attack toward the Peters blue line, but the Indians nip that in the bud. Here's Martin one more time. Martin off a Blue Devil's leg, and to the boards it goes. Turnaround try. That went off Braden Wirtz. Wirtz gets it just outside his own area as Maeda has to wait for his teammates to tag up, and does. Maeda centering pass for Alexander. Alexander shoots. Save made from right between the circles by Lynham. Good effort there by Alexander. Better save by the Mount Lebanon senior. Krupp unable to get that puck toward goal as Ressler was driving the net. Here's Zach Palmieri for the Indians. Palmieri centering. Shot by Poon. Caught a piece of something and went wide. Past the midpoint of period 3. 2-2 it remains between Peters Township and Mount Lebanon. Blue Devils will not ice this puck as Thomas has to play it in front of the crease. Corbel reversing the play under some pressure now from the Mount Lebanon forecheck as Palmieri takes it for the Indians. Palmieri's outlet pass too strong for Jeremy Poon. Blue Devils gain center red and send it deep. Fisher now for the Peters Township Indians. Looking for Jeremy Poon, unable to connect. Curta stood up at center ice by O'Donnell. Fisher for Palmieri. Lead pass intended for Klasnick. Klasnick just unable to catch up to it. Good play there by Corbel to thwart the potential scoring chance there for the Blue Devils. Indians changing behind the play as Mount Lebanon plays it up to center. Klasnick getting it deep for the Blue Devils. Fisher met by Shin behind the net. And now Ivanchik brings it out for Peters Township. Palmieri, one-touch pass to Skuvart. Skuvart 1-on-2 over the blue line. Toward goal, glove save, Lynham. And we'll face it off at Mount Lebanon Ice here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center with under 7 minutes to go in regulation of game number 1. Thomas Jefferson at South Fayette is next, but got a long way to go still in this one.
A 2-2 contest here. Let's not jump ahead of ourselves, Mr. Popchock. This is a fun one so far.
Martin off the draw. Couldn't get it on goal. It was blocked by Ribstein. Skuvart with it for the Indians. Skuvart forces a blocker save from Lynham. Lynham made 26 saves against the Indians the last time these teams met. Martin over the blue line for Peters Township. Pulls up at the edge of the left circle and forces a stick save from Quinn Lynham. Around the boards it comes, cut off by Phillips, who tries to send it deep. Braden Wirtz up to center for Ribstein. Ribstein met by Ivanchik, and Ivanchik gets it deep for Peters. Luke Eberhardt from deep in his own zone. Helps the Blue Devils work it up to center. Ribstein's shot hits something. I think it hit Wateska's stick as Thomas has to freeze that puck up against the post. awkwardly. A turnover there to the Blue Devils. Loose puck in front. And the Indians nearly had to pay dearly for that mistake. Phillips makes his move. Phillips toward goal. Stick save line of the rebound. Put just wide. Oh, Ben Tracy nearly knocked that one in late in the third. Wateska from the half wall. Unable to keep it inside the zone for Peters Township. Caputo outletting for Phillips, who got tied up in the officials' crease, and that allows the Blue Devils to get the puck deep. Caputo up for Ben Tracy. Tracy unable to handle that outlet pass. Klasnick unable to handle that puck. Caputo for Alexander now, late in regulation. Just over 5 minutes to go in period three, as we remain tied at 2. Micah Gill for Klasnick. Gill, one-touch pass to Klasnick. Klasnick for Gill on the off wing, and that shot is blocked. Eli Prado got in his path, and Prado counters for Peters Township. Dribbling puck toward goal. Lynham not going to take any chances. Wholesale changes for both these teams before the face-off to Lynham's left.
Can't say they're not putting on a show out there. Both these teams leaving it out on the ice. So I said every point matters now in AAA, more than ever.
Palmieri off-balance shot, just wide of goal. Oh, that almost fooled Lynham. Puck battle along the far boards. Klein digging for it for Peters Township. It comes to Maeda at the point. Maeda keeps it inside the zone. To the corner for Eberhardt. Eberhardt controlling this puck from Mount Lebanon, but it was stolen away by Palmieri momentarily. Sam Eberhardt trying to help out Luke Eberhardt defensively for Lebo. And the Blue Devils will be able to exit their zone eventually. Prado ricochets it off the glass. Right to a Mount Lebanon stick, but Bias couldn't keep it inside the blue line. Palmieri centering for Rapepi. Rapepi poke check by Luke Eberhardt. Klein for Rapepi. Rapepi side of the net. Oh, it's loose inside the blue paint, and Lynham found it. And games like this, Brian, are the kind of games where oftentimes unlikely heroes tend to become heroes. Peters Township, a team hit very hard by graduation after those last couple Penguins Cup runs, has had to manufacture offense from a lot of different sources and unconventional sources to claw its way back toward the top of the standings as the Indians keep the pressure on the Blue Devils late in the period. Poke check by Corbel. And Fisher puts it off of Krupp's helmet. And up it comes for Alexander. Alexander on the off wing. Alexander between the circles toward goal and wide of goal. Oh, Alexander nearly with a gorgeous individual effort there to put Peters Township ahead, but he has the puck again a second time before being poke checked by Wirtz. Up it comes to Krupp. Krupp has Lehman up ahead of the play. Final 3 minutes of period 3. Peters Township 2, Mount Lebanon 2 here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center. Eberhardt gave it up to Martin. Martin shouldered by Klasnick. Klasnick responsible for the game-tying power play goal, the only goal of period 2. Ribstein, outlet pass to Bias. Bias behind the defense. Bias toward the goal. Score! The Mount Lebanon Blue Devils have a Bias for action, and it's Xavier Bias, the varsity newcomer, with a huge goal in a huge spot to give Mount Lebanon a late lead. 2:27 remaining, third period. Xavier Bias with his 8th goal of the season.
Well, I was just combining my thoughts in my head, and I was talking about how you're talking signature wins for teams and such, and I was going to bring something up about Peters Township and why not them. And then Bias ended up putting that one in and giving them the lead. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it was a heck of a goal. I missed the development of it, but those are the type of things you need to build your resume as you go down the rest of the season.
I just talked about unlikely heroes. Well, how about Xavier Bias, a freshman forward for the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils, gradually becoming one of the top under-the-radar players in the top classification in the PIHL. Bias now with a 4-game goal streak, and the Blue Devils have a lead late here with just over 2 to go in regulation, and a chance now for the Blue Devils one more time as Thomas pokes that puck at the last moment away from the stick of Ripstein, who was trying to put it away for Mount Lebanon. And we'll see how long Thomas stays on the ice here with the Indians now trailing for the first time in this game. Prado bumped hard off the puck by Bias, who stays on here for Jeremy Church. Mount Lebanon looking to make a big statement here at home with just a couple games to go before the holiday break for both these teams. And that puck played to nobody in particular by Skuvart. It's taken by Klasnick. Klasnick centering pass for Tetlow. Tetlow shoots. Thomas with a big save from point blank to keep Peters Township alive. Martin across the blue line. Martin from above the right circle. Oh, that went off the blocker of Lynham. There goes Thomas. Empty net down to our left. The extra attacker is Skuvart. Final minute of third period play as Fisher outlets for Skuvart. Skuvart for Martin. Martin, right wing circle. Martin from a bad angle. Offerman lost his stick. Indians have it. Alexander to Caputo. Back to Drew Alexander. Up for Maeda. 45 seconds left. Maeda for Alexander. Alexander shooting. Save Lynham. No rebound.
With as close as this division is, you could take away a little bit in this time of how do both of these teams play in these scenarios? And we have a timeout called here. You can't discredit the actual in-game knowledge that you learn, especially how much parity is in AAA right now. I mean, Mr. Popchock, look at this. You got a 3-2 game, Lebo leading Peters Township. You can't tell me this isn't going to happen with similar teams in the future. You're going to have to learn how you play and what your team response is. It's a wonderful time for it, and I'm glad to be here to watch this one.
It's been a fun game and a fun start to the evening that is far from over, and you got to give Mount Lebanon credit. They've showed their maturity. A year ago, I think this was the kind of game that they would have continued falling apart in after falling behind early by a multi-goal deficit. But again, they did not panic. They just kind of grew into the game as time wore on, got a big goal on special teams, and got great goaltending from Quinn Lynham to answer the great effort at the other end by his counterpart, Kyle Thomas. And Xavier Bias, he's a Penn's Elite product, he's a Shaha product, and he's going to have a lot of people talking about him going forward if this score holds up for Mount Lebanon.
It's the tenacity. It's the just sticking with your game, not just letting them play to you. Letting them play to you, not just letting you have to play to them every time. Peters Township could have just continued to put on that extra gas, and it could have been pretty big for Lyman, and could have been an issue there. But you're 23-23 in shots. You build up. You're making them play your game instead of their actual game. So they kept it together, which is a big thing in this league. You have to be able to have that consistency. Here we go, last 42.4.
The Blue Devils can move to within 2 points of the Indians in the AAA standings if they hang on, as Martin, I think, tried to buy himself a call here before the faceoff, but it's not going to happen. The Indians win said faceoff. Maeda through a crowd, never made it on goal. Klasnick trying to clear. He will, with help from Lehman. Lehman up ahead for Klasnick. Klasnick backhands it into the empty net! And the Blue Devils will celebrate an impressive come-from-behind victory at home with 29.4 ticks to talk. Mount Lebanon 4, Peters Township 2, as Sawyer Klasnick double dips that ship.
Giving credit on both sides here. Both Peters Township and Mount Lebanon played that one hard. It was just showed that Mount Lebanon, he fired that one on the backhand while on his legs, falling down. Just able to shuffle that one towards the net. Peters Township trying all over him to make sure that doesn't happen. Got to give them credit on both sides.
Corbel off the faceoff as Mount Lebanon is guilty of icing. Klasnick, the Lebo captain, with goal number 7 on the year. One behind Xavier Bias, by the way. And goal number 2, as I said, for Klasnick on the evening. Some last-moment personnel changes for Peters Township on this offensive zone faceoff, which is won by Mount Lebanon with 15 seconds left. 4 unanswered goals by the Blue Devils to even their season series and earn a split of their season series as the net is again vacant down to our left, and the Blue Devils by inches narrowly missed another ENG. Instead, it'll be icing with 5.7 ticks to talk. Mount Lebanon, their first victory over Peters Township in just about 2 years. And the Indians have scored off the faceoff, it appears.
Yes, they have.
Somebody just pulled a Mario. Who was it? It's a 4-3 game with 3.2 seconds left.
He won the faceoff back to himself, and then he found it in a scrum and just fired one on net, 5-hole.
Drew Alexander, his second goal of the game. A literal blink and you missed it goal. But it does not matter, as Braden Wirtz does get a second empty net goal for the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils, and just like that, it's a 2-goal margin all over again.
And they're going to call a game.
And there's your final horn. So a wild last couple of seconds and last couple of minutes in this hockey game as hockey hugs go the way of Quinn Lynham, who picks up his 4th win of the season, and they won't get much bigger than this. The Blue Devils knock off the 2-time Penguins Cup champs here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center. Final score, Mount Lebanon Blue Devils 5, Peters Township Indians 3. What do you think, Brian Mitchell?
Wow. I mean, listen, you were talking about those defining games, those defining moments. We even talked about, the go-ahead goal with about 3 or 4 minutes remaining, and then you had, the goal that was scored with 3 seconds. I mean, you had 2 goals in the last, 3 seconds of this contest? Hey, come on, man. That's an instant classic in my mind. 5-3? Let's roll.
And like I said, the night's not over yet. Thomas Jefferson at South Fayette is next. Peters Township now 6-4-0-1. Mount Lebanon now 5-4-1 overall. Thank you, Brian Mitchell, for your double duty. Thank you, executive producer Todd Kazarowski. Thank you, Jack Kukin. Thank you, Austin McLean. Thank you for watching and listening to PIHL Hockey Night Live on the PIHL channel, simulcast on Peters Hockey TV and 10-Band TV, and it's all been presented by Opeka Auto Repair in McMurray. I'm Matt Popchock, and we will see you in Mount Lebanon on the other side. Points on the season, had a goal and an assist the last time these teams met on Halloween night. And a chance for the Indians out in front, and Drew Alexander scores. 55 seconds in. Peters Township as Martin plays it up to himself at center ice. Martin over the blue line around him and cross ice pass. One-timer! Charlie Caputo! Crisscross applesauce! 2-0 Peters Township. 14:21 remaining, first period.
It's the way you draw it.
Reset to the point. It dribbles wide of goal. Going in after it is Klasnick from Mount Lebanon. Klasnick behind the net. It's sent out in front. One-timer Oak. Thomas got over just in time to get a piece of that backdoor attempt from the stick of Klasnick. Indians have good work there to avert disaster by the alternate captain, and Eberhardt carries the puck now for the Blue Devils, and Eberhardt scores! Luke Eberhardt makes that donut disappear as we approach the midpoint of period 1. We've got a new hockey game. Blue line, Indians control. Maeda defensively, right down the middle, given away to Ribstein. Ribstein for Bias. Bias shot, save made. Rebound, put off the side of the net. Oh, the Blue Devils had a yawning net, but Klasnick couldn't finish. Shot, save made. Rebound, put off the side of the net. Oh, the Blue Devils had a yawning net, but Klasnick couldn't finish. And from the side of the net, Ribstein puts it off the meshing again as Thomas was diving to his left to try to make the save off of Thomas. And that was pretty much the same spot from which Eberhardt scored earlier in the period. Rapepi crossing the blue line onside. Rapepi to Caputo. Caputo forces a save from Quinn Lynham in tight. 1951. Trust the iCar trained technicians at Opeka Auto Repair in McMurray for your collision and mechanical repair needs and for the primary assist on your insurance claims. Call 724-941-6608 or visit opekaauto.com. Lebanon Blue Devils. Around the glass it comes for Cam Martin. Martin leading it for Caputo. Caputo across the blue line. Caputo snapshot into the glove of Lynham, and he'll hold for a face-off. Offerman using his big frame to get in the lane. Delayed offside situation there against Peters Township allows Mount Lebanon to play this puck, as we're going to get a penalty coming up against the Indians as Curto was tripped trying to enter the Peters Township zone. 3 shooters as Logan Taylor scored the first and only goal of the shootout in round 1. Thomas makes a save there, and the rebound is smashed in by Sawyer Klasnick. Hit that horn, baby, let's dance. It's 2-2. Merit Scholar competition. He's a bright young man on and off the ice as here's a steal by Cam Martin, the other captain. Martin to the goal, toe drag shooting off the iron. Oh, Cam Martin finding metal but not mesh. Inches away from getting it right back.
Threw me off on the camera.
Christian Teta trying to get that puck deep for Mount Lebanon. But here comes Charlie Caputo for Peters Township. Caputo's shot from 1 foot is held and covered by Lynham.
Yeah, I'm working the camera here today, and I've actually...
Maeda around Sam Eberhardt, out in front, backdoor play. Oh, what a save by Lynham, but the side of the net, it's still loose, and somehow, some way, Quinn Lynham says, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
Very close opportunity.
Happy, but the Blue Devils recover as Williams gets it back to center red, and now Caputo counters for Peters Township. Caputo toward goal. Oh, no, it didn't go in. Caputo thinks it went in. We thought it went in. Officials say no goal.
I want to look. We're all tied up.
2-2 your score, still with under 5 to go in period 2. O'Donnell out in front. O'Donnell just missing the top corner as he nearly hit the postage stamp there for Peters Township. Horrible off that puck. And the Indians get it back to center. Luke Eberhardt for Klasnick. But offside for the Blue Devils was the sophomore Resler. Puck at the last second by Maeda. Oh boy. Maeda with speed and purpose now for Peters Township. Across the attacking line for Martin. Martin shoots it off the body of Lynham. Caputo has the rebound far side. Up to the point for Fisher. Fisher pivoting. Game tied at 2. Caputo unable to hang on down low as the Blue Devils clear it. Conrady called off. As Jeremy Church makes some changes on special teams, Martin plays it at center for Fisher. And the Indians win the defensive zone faceoff, and they're going to go right back to the power play as Fisher's stick was knocked out of his hands. Wirtz gets it just outside his own area as Maeda has to wait for his teammates to tag up, and does. Maeda centering pass for Alexander. Alexander shoots, save made from right between the circles by Lynham. Good effort there, able to get that puck toward goal as Ressler was driving the net. Here's Zach Palmieri for the Indians. Palmieri centering. Shot by Poon, caught a piece of something and went wide. Past the midpoint of period 3. 2-2, it remains between. Martin off the draw, couldn't get it on goal. It was blocked by Ribstein. Skuvart with it for the Indians. Skuvart forces a blocker save from Lynham. Working up to center. Ribstein's shot hit something. I think it hit Wieteska's stick as Thomas has to freeze that puck up against the post. Awkwardly, a turnover there to the Blue Devils. Loose puck in front, and the Indians nearly had to pay dearly for that mistake. Phillips makes it.
So I said every point matters now in AAA, more than ever.
Palmieri off-balance shot, just wide of goal. Oh, that almost fold line him. Puck battle along the far. Ribstein, outlet pass to Bias. Bias behind the defense. Bias toward the goal. Score! The Mount Lebanon Blue. And the Blue Devils have a lead late here with just over 2 to go in regulation, and a chance now for the Blue Devils one more time as Thomas pokes that puck at the last moment away from the stick of Ribstein, who was trying to put it away for Mount Lebanon. And that puck played to nobody in particular by Skuvart. It's taken by Klasnick. Klasnick centering pass for Tetlow. Tetlow shoots. Thomas with a big save from point blank to keep Peters Township alive. Martin across the blue line. Martin trying to clear. He will with help from Lehman. Lehman up ahead for Klasnick. Klasnick backhands it into the empty net. And the Blue Devils will celebrate over Peters Township in just about 2 years. And the Indians have scored off the faceoff, it appears.
Yes, they have.
Somebody just pulled a Mario instead goal.
And they scored,
but it does not matter, as Braden Wirtz does get a second empty net goal for the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils, and just like that, it's a 2-goal margin all over again.
And they're going to
go the way of Quinn Lynham, who picks up his 4th win of the season, and they won't get much bigger than this. The Blue Devils knock off the 2-time Penguins Cup champs here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center. Final score, Mount Lebanon Blue Devils 5,